I want to say first, we have a police motorcade setting up about 15, 20 yards from us, 15 yards right now. You may hear some of that right now. We're not sure what this is. Behind me, you actually see the collapse site over my shoulder. President Biden just finished those remarks at the St. Regis Hotel in Miami Beach. That's just a mile from where we are, and that was about 10 or so minutes ago. The president pledging full federal support, financial support for the rescue and recovery effort and rebuilding effort as well as the other help needed in the days and months to come. The president's visit comes after search and rescue operations were suspended overnight, very early this morning, about 2 a.m., because of the structural concerns with the standing portion of the tower, those cracks we've been talking about that they know have formed and widened. Officials say they do believe people could still be alive under the rubble and they will resume the rescue operation. They don't know when. President Biden and the First Lady attended a briefing with Governor DeSantis, Miami-Dade Mayor Levine Cava, Senators Rubio and Scott, and local leaders this morning, as well as the fire chief. Governor DeSantis thanked the Biden administration and FEMA for their efficiency in assisting with the disaster, added that mental health support will be needed for those first responders, something the president also acknowledged. The president reiterating that the federal government is here to help, and he praised the bipartisan collaboration over the past week. He said his main goal today is to give support and comfort to the survivors, the victims' families, and those first responders.
Jill and I wanted them to know that we're with them and the country's with them. Our message today is that we're here for you as one nation, as one nation. And that's the message we communicated.
Now, President Biden and the First Lady spent most of their time today meeting with the families of the victims and the unaccounted for right now. The president going from table to table today, met with the families for several hours at the hotel. Let's look at the video from the meeting. If you haven't seen it yet, the president delivering some brief remarks to the families in total, and then going from table to table as those families sat there. He stayed until everyone had a chance to speak directly with the President of the United States. Senators Rubio and Scott, as well as the governor, were also there for this. Now, earlier today, the President and First Lady met with first responders, thanking them for what they're doing. The President told them that what they're doing now is, quote, hard as hell to deal with, and that he would know that most of the time people don't really fully appreciate you, meaning the first responders, until they really need you. He thanked them again moments ago.
God made man, then he made a few firefighters. They're remarkable, remarkable people. They're always risking their lives to save lives, as well as the police and other first responders. I got to meet with a whole bunch of them.
All right, right now I want to go to, if we could, this is the president at that memorial that has been put together right in the shadow of the towers by not only family members, but by people who don't know anyone who even lived in the Champlain Towers, who want to pay their respects. We have been watching this grow over the last week, and now the president, that explains the motorcade that is right behind us right now. They have blocked off the streets so the president and the First Lady could get out of the motorcade and go directly to see this. There was some concern today that the president would disrupt the recovery and rescue effort by stopping at the site. He said that there was no way he would disrupt the work. As you know, that work stopped at 2 o'clock this morning because of those dangers of a second collapse. So the President and First Lady now looking at some of what's been left behind in honor of those souls unaccounted for and the 18 lives we know were lost. Again, those search and rescue crews are standing by, awaiting their assignments to continue to go back to work. But as the president said, the worst thing that could happen is for one of those people, one of those rescuers, to somehow be injured or lost if there was a second collapse, and that no one, including the families, would want that.